हमारे बीच में सिक्किम के पूर्व राज्यपाल, प्रख्यात लेखक, विचारक और प्रशासक श्री बीपी सिंह जी हैं। आप भारतीय संस्कृति और खासकर उत्तर पूर्व भारत पर अनेक आलेख और 1 दर्जन से अधिक पुस्तकों के लेखक हैं। बुद्धा एंड द पोस्ट 9/11 वर्ल्ड तथा द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ चेंज, ए स्टडी ऑफ नॉर्थ ईस्ट इंडिया जैसी आपकी पुस्तकों ने अत्यंत चर्चा प्राप्त की है। बौद्ध दर्शन तथा सौहार्दपूर्ण विश्व के निर्माण में बुद्धिज्म की भूमिका पर आपका विशेष शोध कार्य है। आपने 30 देशों के बौद्ध विद्वानों की 4 दिवसीय ग्लोबल बुद्धिस्ट कॉन्फ्रेंस की अध्यक्षता की थी। आप भारतीय प्रशासनिक सेवा में कई उच्च महत्वपूर्ण पदों पर अपनी सेवाएं दे चुके हैं। आपको अनेक पुरस्कारों और सम्मानों से अलंकृत किया गया है, जिसमें कुछ प्रमुख हैं: जवाहरलाल नेहरू फेलोशिप, क्वीन एलिजाबेथ फेलोशिप, महात्मा गांधी नेशनल फेलो जैसे कई पुरस्कार और सम्मान। आपको गुलजारी लाल नंदा अवार्ड तथा श्रद्धेय दलाई लामा द्वारा मैन ऑफ द लिटर्स अवार्ड प्राप्त है। मैं बहुत ही आदर के साथ आदरणीय वाल्मीकि प्रसाद सिंह जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं अपने वक्तव्य के लिए।
Friends, let me thank Kumar Sahab for a very generous introduction. I propose to begin from where Shri Nivas Rao ji left the dialogue. And he mentioned about freedom in a much wider context. I am thinking of confining it to the freedom movement and to the constitution and literature. Now, why I am saying this is because of the presence of the word constitution. So the dialogue will be freedom, literature, and the Constitution of India. What happened? And if we look at the last 12 days or so, on 1st August, we went for survey of Bal Gangadhar Tilak's attainments, because that was his 100 years of death anniversary. In the freedom movement, he was the first person who wrote that Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. And this led Mahatma Gandhi to say that Tilakji is the maker of modern India, and the Britisher to say that he is the father of the Indian unrest. Why I am saying so, that after 1st August, we moved to 5th August, when we had the foundation laying ceremony of Ram Temple, and Lord Ram as the ideal hero of Ram Rajya. And I suddenly find that it was Mahatma Gandhi who took advantage of Sant Tulsidas's book, Ramcharitmanas, to emphasize this as a part of the freedom movement. And so this has ignited me to think. And it was much, much earlier that I wrote my first book, which was published in 1975, called Threads Woven, Ideals, Principles and Administration. The first chapter of this book is called Political Philosophy of Sant Tulsidas. And it was here that Gandhiji came to me more vividly, why he chose Ram Rajya. And there he writes one line, which I think the modern persons, young boys and girls must hear and know. And that is, Nahi daridra sam dukh jag mein. There is no pain more killing than poverty. So it became the responsibility of the state to empower every citizen to build a rich society or poverty-free society, and for that to give him education as well as a skill, and that task continues. And Gandhiji, when he went around, to propagate this Ramarajya of Sant Tulsidas, he took it to another level, that was of social harmony, when he said, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patit Pavan Sita Ram, Ishwar Allah Tero Naam. Now this is what is important for building an India of social cohesion and harmony. Then I come to 9th August 1942, the Quit India movement. We celebrated that on 9th August. And one thing again impressed me from Gandhiji. When people asked him, what are your directions? He said, you are free now. And almost in the Buddhist terminology, he was telling them, Appa Dipo Bhavo, you be a lamp unto yourself and take guidance from that. Many of us present here, I see Sarmaji and other elderly people, I myself included, we are products of that Quit India movement. I was born that year. My father, my grandfather were freedom fighters. And we could see that spirit of freedom which Tilak had expressed, not only in that statement, but he also put it philosophically in this book, Gita Rahash, which was originally written in Marathi, in Mandale jail by him in 1950. There again, I'm not linking it to today's Janmashtami, but this is important, that everything is taking origins from our scriptures, our classics. And we are also in the year when we are celebrating 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi. So this in a nutshell has been the story of the freedom movement, and it has affected all parts of the country. What I thought I should mention today also is that literature functioned side by side. It influenced freedom movement and it got influenced by freedom movement. Because if you look at literature in any part of the country, you find some very tall leaders from Bengal who came into prominence after the Brahmo Samaj Raja Ram Mohan Roy movement. But you have that person like Rabindranath Tagore. You have Subramanya Bharati in the south, and almost in every language, Hindi, Urdu, English, we have scores of figures who try to enthuse the people, empower the people, culturally, politically, and also intellectually, to take up the cause of freedom movement, to take up the cause of attaining freedom. So it was literature influencing freedom movement. And at the same time, several of the statements of great persons of the freedom movement also led to new literature. People like, our tall leaders influenced several literary figures, and books were written, poems were composed, paintings were done, dramas were enacted to highlight that. And then comes to this constitution. Now, I must say that the constitution that we made, and few things are very important facts, and I thought I will mention to you that it was not just given, although we had in Buddha Bihars and also in Vaishali Bihar, from where I come, some form of democratic rule. But we had these great ideals. And the people, after that reawakening, after that freedom, we had a constituent assembly consisting of very eminent 389 persons, and who worked for nearly 3 years, 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to be precise, to frame this constitution. And what they did a revolution. They tried to give expression, which was mentioned a little while ago about the freedom of speech. But they went ahead and they secured really the government of the people and by the people. But the government, they declared India as a sovereign democratic republic, gave equal rights to all caste, creed, everybody, men and female, men and women. One vote, one value was introduced for the first time in India. We went for a parliamentary democracy. We went for a federal structure. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. That kind of philosophy was propagated. And this constitution influenced our freedom struggle, influenced freedom struggle in different parts of the world. It is still influencing. And this constitution influenced the framing of constitution of a large number of newly free countries, and it is still, it is in some ways still influencing and reforming those reforms in those countries. It will be interesting to know that our constitution, interpretation of the constitution by the Supreme Court, or new laws made by Parliament are discussed and quoted extensively in Parliament and courts of the other countries. Let me just tell you that the relationship between the spirit of freedom, the spirit of literature, and the democratic governance are interrelated. One goes to define the other. The Constitution must give, and it does, reasonable opportunities to build a better India. The challenges are far too many: technological, democratic, innovative. And also, we have to be very careful about our borders, because we have a large border. And the living standards of our people, which are comparatively low. And we are living in an era which is badly, adversely affected by COVID phenomenon. And it is quite possible that it will further harm our economy and our polity and it may take some more time to recover from its after effects. Placed in these circumstances, the challenges before the country next year after 15th August and more has to be understood. And therefore the need is to use our literature, use our freedom, and use our harmonious social order that the Constitution envisages in a very, very positive manner. I will just conclude with two small instances. First one is on the Constitution. Some of you may be aware of one great scholar of the Indian Constitution, American, Augustus Cleveland. When I was there in the World Bank, he and his wife became very friendly, and we used to invite him to our functions. And also they used to visit me in my home. What happened? One day he told me, I was talking about the Constitution of India. He said, if you didn't have this Constitution, I don't think you would have been able to keep India together. That was his feeling. And because it represents the values of India. My second incident is on the values itself. The then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao had asked me, I was as Culture Secretary, I had gone to Moscow to find out, to celebrate Days of India's Culture. He had told me to find out whether Russia will get back the glory of the Soviet Union or will it further disintegrate. I didn't have a suitable answer because Mr. Rao had told me, don't give me a diplomatic reply. He has got so many reports from diplomats. I went to a bookshop, a large bookshop, just opposite a lawn, huge lawn. And I found majority of people, boys and girls, in the classics division. And they were buying those books. I was convinced that so long the classics are alive, so long literature is alive, it shall be possible for us to keep the spirit of freedom, keep the functioning of constitutional democracy proper and balanced. The grammar of democracy will undergo changes, but the fundamentals we will be able to preserve. We have not a very long, only 73 years of freedom and much less of the Constitution of India. So we want that this seminar should help people understand that democracy or democratic behavior is not always a given construct. You have to see that we as a people function to the highest levels and in the true spirit of our literature, our freedom struggle, and of course, in terms of the Constitution of India. Thank you.